If I go on Pinterest, to me, it's like a huge addiction. Like on drugs, I have to stop because the algorithm of Pinterest is so well done. I want to click on everything. It's like I want to eat all these pictures.
Hey, you're listening to Innovators Can Laugh, the fun startup podcast. I'm your host, Eric Melcher. On ICL, we interview an innovative entrepreneur in the European tech startup scene every week. My goal is to have my guests share their wisdom while having a little fun in the process. Now let's dive in. All right, Lucy, happy to have you on Innovators Can Laugh. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm so excited. Here we go. Plaisir de vous voir. Ça te va bien?
Oh. Oui, ça va très bien. Vous parlez français?
Heck no. I've been practicing that all morning.
Oh, nice. Well done. Well,
yeah.
So it's funny because it's an invitation to have, an answer or reply something, but you can't do something with the reply. So, oui, je vais très bien, merci. Et vous, comment allez-vous?
Bien. Yeah, I thank goodness for Google Translate, but even better is the speaker because you can hear the pronunciation. And so anyway, I'm happy to get that off my chest because I was extra nervous because I knew I was going to say that. And I think when I have other French entrepreneurs on, I'll try to say another French expression and see if I get the other expression right? So maybe at the end of the season, I'll speak a little bit of French.
Oh, that would be nice. It's a nice way to learn a language, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about you. So where are you from? What city do you live in? And what's one of your favorite places in that city?
I'm from France, especially from the north of France. And I live in Lille, which is in the north of France. It's a big city in the north of France, very close from Belgium. And my favorite place here is the Museum of Art called Le Palais des Beaux-Arts, which is a fantastic building built by Napoleon III in the 19th century, where you can find beautiful painting collections from Flanders, from Middle Age. Well, it's just a beautiful place to go. If you pass by Lille, I recommend you to go to the Palais des Beaux-Arts.
Okay.
Place.
How far is that from Paris? Like in a high-speed train?
Yeah, it's just an hour from Paris in a high-speed train. Yes,
wow.
It's very close when you see it that way. And we are just half an hour from Brussels in high-speed train. So you see, it's pretty much like living in the suburbs. Like if you live in the suburbs of Paris, you would take more time to go to the center of Paris that I have time to go to Brussels. So
yeah.
It's very useful and nice. And we are just an hour and a half from London. So you see, it's the perfect place. Yes. Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
That is so cool. I did not know that. I can't wait to visit you guys one day because it's so close. So if I go to Brussels or Paris, I'll have to make a day trip over there.
Yeah. Oh, it would be nice. It would be great. And we love restaurants and there is so much great restaurants here.
Okay.
It would be a pleasure to go there with you.
Okay. So other question for you. What would your best friend say is your superpower?
My best friend would say that I would love to imagine her interviewed like for a documentary, like, when you have documentaries and people are talking of the person we are talking about. And I think maybe she would say my imagination. The fact that I love to tell stories. I love to listen to stories. I'm very curious, like in general. I'm very curious of many things, cultures, food, art, everything. I'm amazed by how creative we are as human beings. We are still a little bit of animals, like we are very intelligent animals, if we can say that, but mostly we are creative animals. And I'm fascinated by this, and this curiosity, I think, brings me to imagine things all the time. And I like to have fun. I like colors. I like designing. I like writing, creating. And so
Okay.
I think she would say that. She knows me a lot because my best friend is my best friend since we are 9 years old.
Wow.
It's a beautiful friendship. Yeah, I'm blessed to have her in my life.
That's good to hear that you've been able to keep such friendships for such a long time. Now let's jump into the world of design. I read somewhere that you said that branding and design are powerful tools to reach an audience and create a deep emotional connection. Can you tell me about a time that you had an emotional connection with a design or brand?
Oh, I would say that to me, it happens a lot because I'm so fond of brands and design and I would say the world of pictures in general, visual design in general. Like if I go on Pinterest, to me, it's like a huge addiction. Like on drugs, I have to stop because the algorithm of Pinterest is so well done. I want to click on everything. It's like I want to eat all these pictures. But to be more precise, maybe I think the first brand that really that I really connect with deeply, if I am honest,
Which brand?
is Barbie. Yeah, Barbie brand. I'm not talking about Mattel. I'm really talking about Barbie. And even now, the logo from Barbie, the Barbie's logo from the 80s is one of my favorite logo all time. The logo evolved from the 50s until now. And each time it's just the name Barbie. Sometimes it's like in handwriting. Sometimes it's like more a typographic design. But I love this. And of course, the color, this idea of this, I don't know, this fuchsia pink, very intense pink, and some almost, I would say, almost provocative, like it's a bold color, I have to say. And when I was 6, I wanted to be like covered with this pink, and Barbie was my role model, but not in a bad way, I would say. It's just that Barbie could be whoever I wanted her to be. And so I was not like fantasizing to be, I don't know, a top model or, I don't know what Barbie could be, like a blonde housewife or something. But I was fantasizing to be a free grown-up woman. And I thought it would be amazing to be a grown-up when I was a child, because you can do whatever you want. You can run a business if you want. Barbie, in my imagination, was running a business. And so this brand, Barbie, is, I think, one of the first experience of how a visual design and a brand experience in general, because it's not only about the visual design, and branding is not just about visual identity, that how this brand image can be, it can brought so much trust, confidence, pleasure, and so on. So this is, this was a beautiful experience.
What an amazing description, because I've never felt that kind of connection with the brand, and I never saw Barbie that way. But for you, it gave you this inspiration of the person that you could be, the person that you wanted to be. And I always thought Barbie, it's a toy, it's a doll, right? But I never saw that it could make somebody aspire to be something more. That is very, very interesting. Now, did you ever try to copy that logo like by hand? Did you ever try to draw it? Like, when did you started getting immersed in the world of design and creating designs?
I think I never. Well, I tried to design it when I was to redesign it when I was a child, because when I was a child, I thought of Barbie as I said, a model that could be whatever you wanted to. So I was at this time designing furnitures for Barbie. I was designing books for Barbie, or catalog, fashion catalog for Barbie. But I was using paper cuts and drawing. So I was a child trying to redraw the logo, the Barbie logo.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the first experience. But I think that what brings me to design is a combination of different experiences, like the experience of the brand love that I had with Barbie, but also that at school we were studying a book when I was 7. The professor came with a book about Claude Monet, who is a French painter from the 19th century. And in the 19th century, he bought a house in the countryside of Paris. And this house began to be his studio, but also his family house, and also the topic, the gardens were the topics of most of his paintings. And the book was a book for children where a little girl were going to these gardens and met Claude Monet. Mm-hmm. And I was amazed by this. So I wanted to be a painter. And after that, in the same period of my time, I read books written by La Comtesse de Ségur, who she was from Russia, I think, but she wrote in French. She was a French author of children's literature in the 19th century. And I was fascinated by the fact that she was a woman writing stories, and in these stories, there were little girls. So I wanted to be a painter writing stories, and I love visual design and imagination, and I think all the combination of this interest brought me to typography and to graphic design. In the first place, I wanted to be a product designer or a home interior set designer or stuff like this. Uh-huh. And as I was studying art and I realized that I would be more free and more close to my inner desire to express communication in another way with graphic design, and in particular type design and typography. So that's how I came to design.
Now, I also saw somewhere that you used to teach, and you taught for a number of years. Now, how did teaching make you feel? Because it sounds like just being in the world of design, doing it, whether you're drawing it or project managing it or coming up with some sort of design, that gave you a lot of happiness and pleasure. Mm. But where did teaching fit in?
I came to teaching almost by accident, because someone was supposed to give lessons and could not. And just a week before, I don't know why, I tried this. I say, okay, if you can't do it, I will do that. Okay, let's go. So I was very young. I think I was just 4 years older than my students. I was not so much at ease. Like, am I going to teach them? I'm not experienced enough, or I haven't thought about how I work in a I don't know, legitimate way enough or something like that. But what happened is that as I worked on teaching and I learned about teaching and I took pleasure in doing it, I think I learned as much as my students were learning. The fact is, maybe the most interesting thing that happened is that it was an approach similar to design. I'm going to explain.
Okay.
When I'm designing something, the most important thing is who am I talking to and how can I express something and be useful for someone. You need to work with empathy. And it's the key of design thinking. And I think that for teaching, it's the same process. How can I help them? What can I bring them that will help them, make them better communication project managers? What do they need to know? And what would I love to know when I was a student? So what is the toolbox that I can give them? And that helped me a lot to bring life to the lesson into something that had a sense and was meaningful.
Yeah, no, I like
really
that.
Enjoy.
I like that approach. It makes so much sense. Like, let me try to put myself in their shoe, right? What they're going through. What's a better way for them to understand this rather than just overload them with information?
Yeah.
Let me give them what they need. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And the difficulty is to stay connected to the present also and all the changes of the world. For example, in my area, in design, when I was a student, there were almost nothing on internet as solution. Like, well, we were talking about Pinterest, but Pinterest didn't exist. I didn't have a computer in the first place. Like, I had a computer when I was 21 or 22 years old. But my students, they were raised with internet, with this feed of images and pictures all the time, and advertising taking so many new shapes. And so I was like, maybe I wanted to be the a little bit more experienced designer, saying, oh, look at this situation or look at this image and let's try together to understand what's happening there, how visual design is used there, how brand design is used there, and what are the new things that we can bring to the world, and what are the things that we can be careful about in this world. Because it's kind of a revolution, a technical revolution, and it's fascinating, but it's also complicated. And young people who are just 18 and just want to be designer, sometimes they don't even know what is design. What is design in the first place? They like pictures, they like drawings, or they like brands, but they don't really know what is it about. And my role was to help them understand this and then know if it was the good choice for them.
Now, you help a lot of startups and companies actually with their branding and design and things like logos and things like that. And I think, and maybe my assumption is wrong, but I have a feeling that a lot of startup founders and entrepreneurs don't know exactly what they want in terms of, let's say, for an example, for a logo, right?
Yeah.
How do you help them in that process and getting inside what their mission is, what they want their company to be, be portrayed in the world. Like, how do you guide them in that process? And so that not only they have a good understanding and a good picture, but you also have an idea of what you can design for them.
Yeah, it's a very important point, and you're right. Many startups founder don't know about what is the mission and what do they need to express, or how is it important. And it's a little bit confusion, is maybe because, as I told you, the world we are living in is so full of visuals and stimulus all the time. If we can't take a step back and just look at the bigger perspective, it's very difficult to know where you want to go, where is the good path for you. So I'm not a brand strategist in the first place, but I learned a lot from the design thinking process. And I'm sure that this process is a very powerful one to reveal the path for your brand when you are a startup founder, and to help you in a very creative way, because you can find this under the surface. It's not so far away. It's not so complicated, but you need to be guided. So when I was working as a freelance designer, I imagined workshops with my clients at the time. I was making a bespoke logo at the time, but I wanted to have workshops with my clients to define what we call the brief in the brand design sector. And I had some fantastic results, because through the workshops, the startup founders would get involved in the process. It was not just me saying, "Oh, I understand what you want, and I think you need that." I don't want to do that. I want to help them find what is good for them, what is good for their business, and understand how it is a tool for their business. And with Dagobert, we imagine how we can put these workshops in a website tool. And that's how we came to the questionnaire of logology. If someone going to logology just can take a questionnaire, I think it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. And in 10 minutes, you can define and have an idea of what kind of identity is the one for your startup. And it's not just about you. Of course, you put a part of yourself in your project. It's not to say, but it is really like imagine that your company is a person, is a real person. What would be the qualities of this person? What would be the specificities of this person? And who are his or her friends and family? And what is the sound of his or her voice? What is the outfits and stuff like that? And if you take this creative angle to look at your business, it's not frightening anymore, because, well, it's just simple. It's like when you go to a professional meeting, and you will find the right outfit. Like, for example, you would not go to a meeting in PJs, like, just to say, if everyone is wearing suits because you are working in a finance tech business, for example. But maybe it's a cliche, but you see the point.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, what I could bring to the more people. By using a website, by using a digital tool, I could bring the experience of the workshop to so many people, and I'm very happy with the result. I'm very thankful, and I feel I feel so grateful when each time a startup founder say, "Oh, I love Logology because, wow, in 10 minutes, you revealed to me the way, the direction where I should go. And even if I haven't found the logo for the moment, or I'm not sure, I'm still hesitating, or I don't care. The simple fact that this questionnaire is helping them, it's a success for me."
Yeah, it's helping them find their identity, so to speak. Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel like I should do it. You
should.
For a new podcast cover art, I definitely should. Yeah. Okay. Next question for you. Okay. Now, Logology, obviously, you guys had a lot of tremendous success very recently, but in 20 and 21, I think, because of COVID, you guys were a little bit struggling a little bit. And how did you overcome that struggle in terms of sales being flat or actually not even growing that much? What was the key point there, the key change there that changed the trajectory of the business?
Well, the key was evolving from adding features to marketing. Clearly, it's as simple as that. It was just stopping in thinking that adding a new feature, a new logos or new colors or new stuff would help, but that at this time we really need to focus on marketing more and to have a marketing strategy and to think of a new marketing strategy, because before we were just trying things but not really knowing how to reach our audience. Mm-hmm. So as to be like in pragmatical way, this is how we get from not selling anymore, not selling enough, having a lot of struggling, growing and stuff, to this tremendous success you are talking about today. Is very relieving.
Okay.
But on the other side, I think that what helped us a lot is that we stick together, Dagobert and I. Like we still believed in the team, and that the fact that, okay, we are not able to do everything. Like I'm not a marketer in the first place, so I have to learn. We have to learn things, and which one would be the more I don't know the word in English, but which one would take this mission or this other mission, and that the trust we had for each other was something solid. I think, just this idea saying, well, you change from features to marketing is great. You have to do that. But you also have, on the personal aspect, to be strong together and to believe in the team and to believe in each other abilities to bring something to the project. Otherwise, well, it would not make sense. And I don't think if we were not a team, we could not have this success. And it's also because you share the difficulties, you share the pains, but you also share the success, you share the happiness. And sometimes it's something very small. It's just a nice testimonial, a nice feedback, or a sales. Just when you do one sale, in 2 weeks, you don't have any sale, and you wake up and you have a sale in the night, and we are just happy together. And yeah, that's something to celebrate, and just, and to motivate each other, because when I was down, Dagobert were pushing me up, and when he was down, I was pushing him up, you see. So it's really, it's also the dynamic of the relationship between us. And I think it's important to choose the co-founders you are going to work with.
Yeah, in this case, it would have been like, okay, I don't no longer want to work with you, but it would have been very difficult to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fortunately. I think that as we are married in the private life, it is an unfair advantage, if I can say that. In some way, it's an unfair advantage because we can speak very openly. We know, well, I think Dagobert is the person who knows me the best in the world, and I think he can say the same with me. So it helps. But on the other hand, it can be a disadvantage. It can be something more complicated because the personal problems can get into the financial problems, the professional problems. And when you get into this adventure of building a startup, you are full of optimism and it looks, I don't know, it looks easy when you just have this motivation, but once you get the pains and the doubts, and well, it can be very hard for the relationship too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, hopefully we stood together. I think we rather separate in private life than separate in the professional life. So this is something that we learned, that, okay, maybe we are going to divorce, but we are going to stuck with logology,
Okay. What are you working on right now, Lucy?
Oh, I'm working on, actually, just today, I'm working on an established design for one of our customers. I'm very happy. She's very nice. Her project is amazing. I can't speak about it, but so I'm designing specific logos for her. And just in this month, I'm gonna add new logos. I'm adding logos every week, working on the brand guidelines too, branding guidelines, because we want to offer more than the logo, but help startup founders to design I would say, what I imagine is the minimum viable brand. So I wrote blog articles, and I've designed new colors and new fonts to help creators, to help startup founders to have a beautiful website, but to also to be able to brand the product, but to brand service, to brand every aspect of their business, and to put this brand, I would say brand intelligence or brand strategy in every aspect of their business. Would it be copywriting? Could it be visual for social media and stuff? So I've designed a little guide to bring to life your minimum viable brand. So
very cool. Yeah, that sounds very cool. Very cool. Okay, I got some fun questions for you. First one is, Lucy, if you were writing a guide to wealth and happiness, what one tip would you include? A guide to wealth and happiness.
To wealth and happiness. The most important for me is to stay connected to your heart. Maybe it sounds very plain, a plain advice. Like when I was 20, if somebody was coming to me and saying, follow your heart, I would say, yeah, okay, follow my heart. It sounds like bullshit. But, as I got older, and I can say now I am 40, so yeah, not that old, but 20 years later, I think maybe it's the best advice. But it's, this kind of advice is very difficult to handle because you can't really understand it, and it's very difficult. How difficult it is to follow your heart. You have one to listen to it and God knows it's not so loud. Sometimes you almost can't hear anything. So you have to you have to be very patient with your heart and take time to let your heart, maybe sing to you or speak to you, and you have to be, how can I say that in English? But yeah, it's a kind of patience and presence. And once you heard something or you feel you heard something, you really have to stick with it. Whatever happened, even if you think with your brain, your mental, your logic that, no, I can't do that. No, it's not good. No, it's not possible. You have to try. So you have to follow the inner voice and to trust it. You have to trust yourself. It's the best life companion. You can be your best ally if you listen to your heart. Your heart's the best ally. So this is, I think, how you get wealth and happiness.
Yeah, it's so true, because sometimes logically you think, okay, I know that's probably a good decision for me because logically it makes sense. But the truth is, it's probably not going to bring you happiness in the long run, because, as you said, it's not what your heart desires or wants. Yeah.
Also, when you do something with your heart, if you fail, you can recover easily because, well, at least you tried. But if you do something and it's not really you, or it's not really what you wanted in your, I would say in your guts, like in your heart, like really inside, if you fail, it would cost you a lot because you will feel, I think, so bad.
Yeah.
Not knowing why.
Okay. Last question for you. How did a family member or friend or significant other once embarrass you?
When or how? How?
How?
Embarrass me for what reason? Or
it could be any silly reason.
Well, my father is now a little bit known on Twitter through the memes of Dagobert. So yeah, but maybe maybe I'm the one who's gonna be well, it's gonna be awkward the day we'll learn about this. But I have to say that yeah, I had some occasion to be embarrassed by his behavior. It can be so cold. Yeah, to be honest, lately, the third thing that come into my mind is this occasion lately. I don't know why I felt, I don't know if it's relevant, but okay, let's say it. Lately we were in a family meal, family reunion, and talking about music. The fact is, I love music. I have a podcast about women in the history of pop music. I'm fond of Janis Joplin. I'm fond of I'm a record collector. So I love music, and we talk about the fact that in this passion about music, there are many men. It's almost only men who are record store owners or record collectors or music fans, a male world. And I was just talking about this, and my father said in front of everyone, saying, "Yeah, but you are a tomboy." It's not surprising. And I was just like, what? Since when did I become a tomboy? So yeah, I was embarrassed, but yeah, I didn't know what to say. And just like looking into my mind, thinking, am I a tomboy? Why am I yeah, maybe I am a tomboy, but since when a tomboy loves Barbie so much? Well, you see what the point. And it was funny because, after I get I get out of this situation, and in the evening when I talked with Dagobert about what happened, I remember the scene, and everyone around the table didn't know what to say, but they were just looking at each other, and you could follow the eyes, like everyone's watching or twinkling or smiling or being shocked. There's all these face reactions. It was cute to think about it. So that's the story I can tell you.
Good story. Good story. Lucy, where can people learn more about you?
Where can people learn more about me? Easily on the
your
internet.
Podcast or Twitter?
Through my Twitter, through Instagram, and also through Facebook. If they want to learn about me, they can go on the website called kaleidoscopeeye.com, where you can find everything that I do. And it includes, of course, logology.co. But I'm also a writer. It's only in French, but I wrote novels. And I have a podcast. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. And
what's the name of the podcast?
SoundCloud. And the name is Rebelle Rebelle. Rebel. The song from David Bowie, Rebel Rebel.
Yeah.
And it's in French, Rebelle Rebelle, but it's feminine and plural, like with an S. Rebelle Rebelle. Okay. Because so many different women, so many different rebel.
All right.
Come and say hi on Twitter.
And I'll include the links to her Twitter and podcast in the show notes. Lucy, thank you so much for being on Innovators Can Laugh.
Thank you so much, Eric. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review and star rating. Also, don't forget to sign up for the ICO newsletter at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you can get the bio and details of each guest. Thanks.